So today's reading is from the book of Esther. If you have your Bible with you, then open it on chapter 4. I'm going to read it from verse 11 to 17. All the king's officials and the people of the royal provinces know that for any man or woman who approaches the king in the inner court without being summoned, the king has but one law, that they be put to death unless the king extends the gold scepter to them and spares their lives. But 30 days have passed since I was called to go to the king. When Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer: "Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: "Go, gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. This is the word of God. I'm sure that you can kind of identify yourself with me. Whenever recently, I have conversations, most of those conversations include one thing for sure, one statement for sure: what strange times we live in. And then, we continue to talk about our experiences or about the news we just watched and heard, in details with friends we just met. Worry, fear, and anxiety basically characterizes our today's life. Well, worry is always present. Am I correct? It's always present in our daily life, just with different intensity. For example, financial crisis or marital problems and discord. We worry because of our children's poor decision or job loss. And also our modern world kind of blessed us with a new platform for anxiety and stress called social media. There is this constant demand for performances, for getting enough likes on Facebook or followers on Twitter, and so on and so on. My favorite worry source, let me put it this way, is missing out. I always have more things to do than 24 hours a day. And I kind of, don't judge me because you are the same. We put together a to-do list that would last 2-3 days, not one day. Now, since March, since the pandemic has begun, we are basically surfing on the waves of worry because we face a one-in-a-lifetime event, and it scares us to death. And our worry hit different stages as we enter into the different phases, the red, orange, and yellow of our government recovery plan in New Brunswick. And just a side note here, in New Brunswick, we have this feeling of false security because of the low number of cases. And let's admit it, we tend to ignore and also neglect the safety protocol measures in New Brunswick, so don't do that. Just a side note, but it's good to be reminded that it's real. And we are just lucky, fortunate to live here where we have low numbers. Anyway, It is September. And now that the summer is over, and also our worry for summer, vacationing plans are over, now we set our eyes on new worries this fall brings. New fields for worry such as school reopening. Makes sense. In the church, we worry because of the Sunday school reopening, or the church supper, or next, Thanksgiving, and after that, Remembrance Day. So we just can't wrap our mind around this idea, about this new norm. Like, what does that mean? How to live in this new norm? And how long do we have to live in this new norm according to the new rules? Now, you believe it or not, this message is not going to be about worry. Because I want you to look at worry from a totally different perspective, different angle. So let's travel back in time, a few thousand years, and see what God can teach us through the book of Esther. The story happened in the 480s before Christ, and set in the palace of Susa. Susa was the capital city of Persia in that time. And many of the Jews, after the 70 years of exile, returned to Judea, but many of the Jews stayed in Persia. The story itself is about a Jewish girl, Hadassah. Her name is Hadassah, who was taken from Mordecai. He was a relative to her and also a guardian for her. And so she was taken away from him, and she was forced to compete for the affection of the king, which means she was a beautiful girl and the king chose her. Like, I tried to make the story really, really short. So she was chosen as a queen and crowned as a queen and was renamed Esther, which means star. Now, the primary purpose of the book of Esther is to tell the origin of a feast, the feast of Purim. I have no idea if you ever heard that word or expression. We will learn a little bit about it because it's good to know, good to have information. So what is this feast of Purim and where this word Purim comes from? There was an evil man named Haman, and he was the king's second in command leader. He was also the enemy or an enemy of the Jewish nation. And so he plotted against the Jews. And in order to carry out, his plan, which the plan was extermination of the Jews, in order to determine the date when he would carry out his plan, he cast lot. And that word is the Pur, and the word Purim comes from. So the Feast of Purim is a celebration of the Jews' deliverance from Haman's plot, and it's still celebrated once a year by Jews around February, March. Anyway, Mordecai, the relative of Esther, found out about Haman's plot and sent a message to Esther to intervene. And the Bible passage I just read to you was the first answer of Esther. Because Mordecai asked Esther to intervene, to go to the king on behalf of the nation and ask the nation. But that is the trick. Nobody could enter to the inner court of the king being invited first. Even the king's wives and children faced death if they showed up uninvited. So Esther feared for her life, and first she answered Mordecai that she didn't want to die. So then Mordecai pleaded Esther to save the people, and as you heard, he sent a second message: for if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your families will perish. And listen, who knows? But that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Esther humbled herself, but that sentence kind of shocked her. It helped her to realize that there's no coincidence in God's world. So she humbled herself, and listen, she took the most powerful weapon that can help in a situation like this. What the weapon was? Prayer. Well, fasting. Because it wasn't just a simple prayer. She instructed all the Jews to join her in fasting for 3 days. She really knew, what was at stake. And probably at that time she realized that not only her life, and her life basically is nothing, but the entire nation was in trouble. So this meditating, fasting, it mustered up her courage, I guess, and so she went to see the king. I want you to imagine to go somewhere with fear, facing the fact that in the next moment you could be dead. Now the king first was really angry, and I encourage you actually to open the book of Esther. It's not a long book, just open it and read it. It's full of plots and lots of excitement things. So later the king actually spared her life. In addition, he was even willing to help Esther to expose Haman's plot. And of course, by the end of the story, the king punished Haman and deliberated Esther's people. So look at this story. The circumstances, the events seem to be out of control. I speak slowly because I hope that you can identify our situation to that situation back in time. Everything seemed out to be controlled, especially for Esther and Mordecai and for the Jews. Especially when the king, because of Haman's plot, ordered the extermination of the Jews. So even though it seems that evil is going to triumph, because this is what the story is about, God is still at work. This is the message behind this story, that God is there. God is acting. He is active even when life doesn't make sense. And this message is relevant today. Do you know how many times the word God is mentioned in the Bible? Just guess a number. Tell me a number. A few hundreds? 1,000? More than 1,000?
Many. Many, is it?
Many? I'm just forcing you here to give me a number. Well, the number is 4,473. Now the second question. Do you know how many times God's name is mentioned in the book of Esther? Just guess. Nobody give me a number?
25 times? 25 times?
0.
None.
0. So does it mean that God was absent? Strange and interesting, isn't it? it doesn't mean that God was absent. God was there all during the time, coordinating behind the scenes, orchestrating the coincidences, the seemingly coincidences, to make His will happen. Things, events today, I'm asking you, things, events are not happening to your taste? Do you feel if God is absent, in these crazy times? Have you noticed that we even stopped saying the word God? And just because we mention everything else but God, but the name of God, He's absent, He's not around, then be reminded. Be reminded that God is working behind the scenes. God is working behind this pandemic. We just don't know His plan. In addition, you are here. You are alive. You exist. God created you for such a time as this. It's not a coincidence that you live today. He created you for such a time as this. Well, not as a queen. Well, only the queen back in the UK can say. But He created you with gifts and talents and equipped you with positions, with platforms. Like you would say, Reverend Alice, you are in a position. Each of us has a position, have a platform to do something. Teacher, yes, preachers, or parents. Or maybe you are not a parent, but you are a child. Or maybe you are not a child of someone because your parents already passed away, but you are still, a neighbor. We all have places for our purpose. What is our purpose? What was Esther's purpose? To glorify God. By acting and walking, in your purpose, basically you glorify God. So I would say, do not complain. Do not, frustrate on how to live this abnormal life, in a normal way. How to live in abnormal times. Because your purpose has been always, regardless of the circumstances, regardless if we live in normal or abnormal times, if we live in peace or war, or if we live, a healthy way, or we are sick, and so on. Our purpose is always one thing, to glorify our God. And you would question, what is glorifying our God anyway? What is it? To give Him what He deserves. Like if you had children, parenting means that from time to time you hope, well, maybe you expect, but you hope that your children one day will say, thank you, Mom, thank you, Daddy. And would give us what we feel, we deserve. Thankfulness and appreciation. So we are here to glorify God through whatever, positions God placed us. And just think about it 1 minute. Why did we run Sunday school on the first basis? In the past, why did we run Sunday school? For giving to the parents some free time in order to go to the milk to have a coffee or go to the gym. Sunday school never intended to be a nursery or kindergarten. Sunday school purpose is to teach children about God and give time to the parents to join the congregation in worship and glorify God. So why did we have false supper in the past? Because we were hungry? No. Anytime we gathered, in the past, for whatever reason, eating together, for example. But we gathered so by serving one another, providing for one another, food or conversation or encouragement. Basically, we were glorifying our Heavenly Father. The question, have we lost these platforms? Have we lost social life right now? Yeah, we did. Yeah, we have. But our purpose have not been changed. We are here to glorify God.
Hi everyone, I'm back. Yay! Can you believe it? We are into September. Today I'm recording this on September 3rd, and if you're watching this in church, it is September 6th. I can't believe it. Where has the summer gone? But it's been a beautiful summer. If I haven't seen you over the summer, then I hope you had a great summer. Like I said, it's been beautiful. I hope you did the things that you like to do. And I know many people have been doing what we call the staycation, where we vacation in New Brunswick. And I guess we're open to the Atlantic provinces, other Atlantic provinces too. So maybe you've traveled outside of New Brunswick. In any case, I hope you enjoyed whatever it is that you did this summer. As for me, we did a lot of camping. And I'm going to be camping this weekend, which leads me to the weather prediction. I know that many of you have missed my weather prediction because I know you made plans around your vacation according to my weather predictions. Anyway, I predict that it's going to be a beautiful weekend. And I heard that on the way over to work this morning. That's how I know. So it is supposed to be really nice. And we're going camping. So actually, when I say we're going camping, we are camping at my sister-in-law's and her husband's yard. The whole family's going. We're bringing our campers. And so anyway, I guess we'll have a really nice weekend. So anyway, I do have some announcements, but first of all, I wanted to say welcome back, Reverend Alice. I hope that you had a great vacation. I hope you feel revitalized, re-energized, and refreshed and focused and ready to take on the fall. Now, speaking of the fall, it's going to look a little different around here because of what's happening around us, but in any case, I know the church council and Reverend Alice and myself and members of the congregation, we're going to make the best of it, considering the circumstances. So, bring it on. We're ready, and I hope you are too. All right, so the announcements. I just wanted to mention again that Reverend Alice does not have access to the computers at the hospital. So if you know of anyone in hospital and they would like a visit from Reverend Alice, could you please call the church office and let us know, or give Reverend Alice a call yourself? That would be great, and then she can visit. The caretaker/janitor for Prince Place, we can wipe that off the slate because Justin and Stephanie have decided to stay on with us. So that's great. We thank them. Made our job easier of looking for new caretakers for the Prince Place. The restoration fund. So I mentioned last week that Any monies coming into the church that will be marked for the building fund will now go to the restoration fund until further notice, because we do need a lot of upgrades and extensive repairs to the church. And it's kind of the same thing, if it comes in as to the building fund, it will go toward the building anyway. It'll just get earmarked for the restoration fund. Now, Sunday school, we did have a meeting on Tuesday evening, and this is what we decided. We decided, due to the fact that the children are only going back to school this week, and there's a lot of apprehension and anxiety surrounding that because there's a lot of unknowns. And we wanted to wait, let the children get accustomed, get transitioned into the new school year before we start Sunday school or even think of starting Sunday school. So what we decided was at the end of September, we've already developed a survey, and we're going to place it on the Sunday School Facebook page, and we're going to ask parents and grandparents too, if they wish, to fill out this survey, letting us know, if their children plan to come back to Sunday school, etc. Questions like that. And they can fill it out anonymously or they can sign it. But we really need to know, there's some really important questions that we have that we need to know. And the other thing is, we don't have enough teachers. We have a couple of teachers that have decided not to return this year for various reasons. So we are asking everyone to pray for this, about this. We do need more volunteers if we're going to even consider starting Sunday school up again. So, we just need your prayers. God knows what we need here. He knows what we need for the Sunday school. So we're just asking that if everyone prays for God's will to be done, it'll happen, because we know that God does answer prayers, that He's faithful. So if you could please pray for our Sunday school, we could really use the prayers right now. The fall supper. So obviously due to COVID, we're not having the usual sit-down sit-down supper. We're going to do a takeout this year. The church council decided to go ahead with it. I know the date for that is going to be October 3rd. It's a Saturday. And more details about the time and the price of tickets and what we're serving will come next Sunday during my announcements. I would suspect it'll be roast beef again. That seems to be the favorite here. And I guess that's it for announcements. So, our fall is leading up to Advent and Christmas is going to be different for us this year. But I just, encourage everyone to pray, to keep praying for the church, for the congregation, for our members, and pray for the world, pray for this pandemic, that God would be in charge, because He's all powerful. And He hears our prayers. He does. And I know He cares. And I know He loves us. So we just ask you to pray for the church, for the congregation, and for our world at this time. All right, everyone. Good to be back. And I hope you have a great week. Blessings to all of you. Bye for now.